Are you a movie buff? Do you love dissecting and analyzing your favorite films? Look no further than the Projection Booth podcast. Join host Mike White and a bevy of guest experts as they explore the history, themes, and legacy of cult classics, obscure gems, and mainstream hits. Join us every week for a unique and engaging look at your favorite movies. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and tune in to the Projection Booth podcast, available on all major podcast platforms.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to Chronicles from the Crypt.
Hello there, I'm Casualty Chris, and Father Malone is currently off dealing with the fog. I am one of the hosts of Chronicles from the Crypt, however, a twice-a-month look at the cult horror anthology series Tales from the Crypt that originally aired on HBO from 1989 to 1996. However, I am not going it alone on this episode. I am joined by award-winning writer and everyone's favorite final girl, Mrs. Jess Byard.
Hi, thanks for having me on this show and your other shows. I'm just going to keep appearing on you, and you have like a Russian roulette of podcasts.
Yeah, pretty much. And anytime you listen to one, you want to kill yourself. So
I'd never listen to anything I'm on, so because that would be the case.
I try not to, but somebody's got to edit these things. They don't edit themselves.
Yeah, that's probably like the main thing that's like stopped me. Like I want to do a podcast. My creative partner and I are planning one, but I think the biggest thing that's prevented me from doing it all this time is editing.
Yeah, it's not fun.
It's just such a pain, and I don't like to listen to myself at all. So I'm sorry, all of you people listening to me, if it's as bad as I think it is.
Well, I can tell you it's not. I've had some people on the podcast that are bad. So,
please in my ear.
Yeah, just stop talking. Tales from the Crypt is based off the 1950s EC comic series of the same name. And every episode of Chronicles from the Crypt will be taking a look at 2 episodes of the show with some bonus episodes sprinkled in for good measure, covering some of the movies, other Tales shows, and some tangentially associated ephemera that bears a striking resemblance to Tales from the Crypt, including a very Nickelodeon-inspired children's game show in the mid-90s. Before we get to episode 11 and 12 that we're going to be talking about in this episode, Jess, I'm curious, what's kind of your history with Tales from the Crypt?
All right, so Tales from the Crypt is one thing to know about my horror love, and it's if you read anything, if you find anything that I write on various websites, have written, I'm a huge fan of anthology horror as a subgenre. Love it, movies and television, and it started definitely as a kid. The first time I started watching Tales from the Crypt I can remember was probably, I would say, mid to late 90s. We'll say late 90s. I was probably like 8 or 9, maybe 10. And they would show reruns on, I believe it was the Sci-Fi Channel at the time.
And I'm sure it was
so
like
they were edited to hell.
Yeah,
they were edited.
edited.
I'm like 8, 9, 10 watching these. So obviously. But I mean, they're edited to hell. But there's always something still very unsettling and intriguing, and just kind of like it draws you in when something is that edited, because that you're watching, especially as a kid, like you're pushing a boundary, like there's something here that you're either drawn to or you're turned off by, and whatever the case may be. In my case, I loved it and I watched it all the time. Then as teenager, adult, whatever, I would watch it unedited, obviously. My most recent actual run through of the whole series was probably about 2 years ago. No, maybe 3 years ago. This time of year, actually. I had just moved into my old studio apartment. It was just me at the time, and I had borrowed a friend's whole series. He had every season of Tales from the Crypt on DVD, and I was like, well, fuck it. All I'm doing is working and being at home. So yes, I'm gonna rewatch this show. So I watched all of them, for better or worse. A lot.
Sometimes for a lot worse.
Bad, a lot worse. But you know what? There's a lot of fucking good in Tales from the Crypt, and I love it. It's one of my favorite anthologies. That and the other one I watched as a kid all the time, obviously, was Twilight Zone.
Now, original Twilight Zone or 1985?
Original. I didn't see the 80s until I was probably a teenager.
Yeah, I hadn't seen the 80s until I started doing a podcast on it earlier this year. So, and it's surprising.
I just watched it's weird, and weird Bruce Willis cameos and stuff, or guest appearances. It's
in the
strange.
First episode of the show. Yeah, it's weird, but at the same time, I mean, if you look at that show and you look at this show,
right,
it's very similar in kind of what they were going for.
It is. I would agree that that the Twilight Zone 80s version would probably be a lot closer, actually, in comparison to Tales from the Crypt than Twilight Zone itself. Because it was always kind of like Twilight Zone itself. Rod Serling was cynical, but he was at times, but he was also super optimistic about people, about what people can do, and that people can, if you really stop and look around and try to figure shit out and work with each other, that you can change things. And that kind of always came out in his writing. But Tales from the Crypt was always a much more cynical kind of look at everything. I commented to my husband when we were watching these episodes, and I'm like, it's hilarious in all of in pretty much every episode of Tales from the Crypt. It's hilarious to see how quick people are to just decide to kill someone.
Oh yeah.
Or it's I am inconvenienced in the slightest, you must die.
Yeah, and let's just kill him.
Hilarious.
Fuck it. So speaking of the episodes, we are going to be talking about Judy, You're Not Yourself today, and Fitting Punishment.
Oh, hello there, fright fans. I've just been sitting here waiting for my blood pack to harden. My cosmetologist said I was starting to look a little lifeless. Much better, eh? Which reminds me, tonight's poison parable is about a couple who take their appearance very seriously. Needless to say, they're going to end up trying to save face. I call this one, Judy, You're Not Yourself Today.
Episode aired June 12th, 1990. It's directed by Randa Haynes, written by Scott Nimmerfro. It stars Frances Bay, Carol Kane, and Brian Kerwin. The episode centers around Carol Kane as a housewife who's stressed out by her husband's reckless behavior when she welcomes an elderly cosmetic saleswoman into her house, only to discover that there is a much more sinister plot at foot than just selling Avon. So, Jess, what did you think of this episode?
So
this episode's real bad. How's that? Can we just? I mean, this episode is genuinely just really bad.
That we're discussing this evening, it's my favorite.
Boy, that's like a punch in the face or a punch in the stomach. I mean, they're still bad, but
I love Carol Kane. I mean, that's kind of that's a win. I'm gonna that just kind of makes it better instantly, but. No, it's funny because I've seen, like I said, I've seen all of these episodes multiple times, and just as recently as a few years ago. And it always amazes me how many that like you just kind of forget exist entirely. Like there's ones you have vague recollections of, and ones that come back, but like there's other ones that you're just like, just done. And this one was kind of one that was it. That was definitely it. Like I didn't remember this one at all, and I can see why. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't understand motivations for a lot of things that happen here, choices that actors made.
Yeah, like Carol Kane's accent.
Yeah, like
which
why
is the
are you
most
talking that way? What is it?
It's so bizarre, and it's.
Is it English? Is it French? Is it I don't know? Like, is it that weird like kind of like New Englandy like Katharine Hepburn? What do you do? Like, what is that?
Yeah, it's a very, and that's the thing, right? And they talk about this a lot with acting. If you make a choice, like commit to it.
Have a reason.
Yeah, commit to it, but also at the same time, you can't just make a choice like this without some reason.
Well, and that's where I wonder, like, is it a choice? Or was it written into the character? Like, is that a script? Like, is that a writing thing? Or it's like this, is she supposed to be, a European character of some sort? And Carol Kane was like, well, I guess I'll just wing it. And my voice already sounds weird anyway, so.
I mean, in my mind, it's like she's trying to be this character who is very, like, conscious of her appearance, and so maybe they're trying to give her, like, that kind of, I don't know, loftier accent to make it seem like she's, like, maybe the kind of person who would kind of speak in a fake accent.
Right.
Be more concerned about their appearance, but at the same time, like, it goes unexplored throughout the episode, so it doesn't actually matter, and it just comes off as this strange choice that, like you said, either is in the script, which that's fine, Carol Kane had no choice, or she made that choice, and Randa Haynes was like, yeah, this is fine, do this weird accent.
Yeah, no, I mean, both of them, both her and her husband, what's his name?
Brian Kerwin?
The least recognizable person in this episode.
Yeah, Donald, her husband.
Yeah, he just like they both just made really strange choices, which kind of leads me to think that it may have been like written in there to try, like, this was like an attempt at writing some like weird kind of goofy, eccentric, larger, whatever, exaggerated characters, but it's just written by a person who can't write that kind of character, like it just comes off weird and misplaced.
Well, and they have this whole subplot of the husband, played by Brian Kerwin, he's like really like into guns. Okay, yeah. Again, kind of explored, but not really. And again, it's just kind of bizarre. And, Scott Nimmerfro is known for a lot of stuff. I mean, he was a producer on Hannibal. Yeah, on Pushing Daisies, on the original X-Men movie featuring Bryan Singer, but we won't go there. I mean, he passed away 2 years ago. I mean, he's known for a lot of really great stuff. And it's just, this is really not, it's just not, it's not good. It's not good.
It's not. This is very much a key, everybody in this and is involved in this is very much a keep, I'm doing this to keep the lights on sort of thing. Like I'm not working much right at this point, which is weird but Carol Kane was kind of, like in the early 90s, like, 80s and whatever, she was at kind of the height of Carol Kane-ness, right? Like,
I guess.
How was she in 1990? I don't know. I was born in 1990, so.
Yeah, so was I. So I mean, I always know Carol Kane from When a Stranger Calls. But, like, that was in, like, the 70s, right?
Right. Yeah, like, that's what I know from in Scrooged, and which was the 80s.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the thing. It's like...
So, yeah, I think by the 90s, she was doing some just kind of, like, real low, like, under-the-radar, indie kind of, like, thriller drama.
Yeah, and this is kind of in that wheelhouse because this episode's plot of Frances Bay as like a witch looking to steal someone's beauty is also very similar to Only Sin Deep, an episode from the first season featuring Leah Thompson that is like very similar to this episode in like what it's trying to talk about, kind of the whole stealing of the beauty. And look, this is Scott Nimmerfro's first episode that he writes for the show. Mm-hmm. He goes on to write some other episodes. Some of them I can't even remember them from the name, which is terrible to say, but at the same time, like you said, there are some episodes of the show that are
gone.
Right. I mean, I remember Werewolf Concerto.
Yeah.
Oil's Well That Ends Well. I remember that one because it's the only one that has John Kassir in it on screen, but the other ones I don't recognize. So it's just kind of weird that like this is his first episode and it feels so all over the place. And like the ending is super bizarre and there's like 3 months later there's like a weird time jump.
And so this also there's also a Night Gallery episode of which I just recently, I think last year, watched those seasons. And there's an episode in Night Gallery that's very similar to this, and where, this man is married to this woman who, they have a terrible marriage. She cheats on him all the time. He's a horrible husband. So it's like they're just both bad people. And he meets this old woman, and his whole thing is that he's like a scientist or whatever, and he makes this kind of serum that he somehow... There's a frog incorporated, but long story short, he transfers his wife's, being, soul, essence, whatever you want to refer to it as, into this old woman's body, and then the old woman's personality, whatever, into his wife's body, so that like, oh, it's the sweet old lady, but in my hot, sexy, like European wife's body. But obviously it doesn't work out for him. But yeah, that plot was really recycled, it seems, in the 80s and 90s.
Well, and I mean, obviously this is based off of the source material, but and it's not, it's close, but the thing that we've always talked about on this podcast is you can be close to the source material, but at the same time, you don't have to be overbearing and like stick to it 100%. And This almost feels like they were trying to do something different and they ended up really just kind of spinning their wheels. And that's what this feels like. This feels like very much spinning its wheels. It feels very generic, which is unfortunate, especially for a show called Tales from the Crypt that has, and there hasn't been a lot of supernatural kind of themed episodes this season. So this is one of them. I mean, you have like a walking corpse at one point, but the ending is so muddled and it feels almost like a cautionary tale, like don't own guns. It's like clicking its tongue at you, like don't be a gun owner. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
That's kind of a weird thing. Yeah, like there's a couple things there. One, the ending, as you said, we're basically like the plot of this is, like this old woman comes in is like a door-to-door Avon lady, and then comes in, and then Carol Kane's like, oh yeah, let's be friends, and then she's like, oh no, I'm gonna be in your body, and they switch, and Carol Kane's an old lady, whatever. But the end, I don't get, like you said, it's super muddled because I didn't understand at all why, if Carol Kane was back in her body in that weird time jump, she spent 3 months there. Why is she so obsessed with like digging up this witch and starting this shit over again? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're I thought. Or was she not? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's not really well explained. Like, I thought it was her, but maybe it wasn't, or maybe the witch was trying to get her to switch.
But even still, okay, so
bodies?
if it wasn't though, why would the witch dig up her old body and risk getting thrown back into her old body?
Right. No,
so
it makes no sense.
It makes no sense either way as to why Carol Kane's character would want to dig up this dead witch who already tried to kill her once.
Right.
Or if she's the witch, then she's already in Carol Kane's body and whatever. I think she already got what she wanted, aside from the fact that she's married to that guy, which brings me to the other point that you brought up, was the gun guy, whose name is Donald. And yeah, it's kind of it's funny because that, it came out in 1990, and he was probably looked at to be like, he is an outrageous character, but I think he's probably a little less outrageous nowadays.
Yeah, right.
Than he would have been in 1990. And the thing is he does turn out to be right. His whole shtick is, you can't, I'm going to protect my house. You can't just let people into the house whenever you want. Like, you can't trust people coming to your door and then, the Avon lady's a witch. So it on one hand, he's so ridiculous and so obnoxious and over the top that you feel like it's, making fun of gun owners, or making a point saying, look how ridiculous these people are. You don't need this. But on the other hand, it's also proving his need for that, because it's totally what he said was going to happen happened.
Right.
So it's a weird, like, I don't know what side of the fence you're trying to play on here, because are you making fun of these people, or are you validating this behavior? Because either way, I mean, you know, if you're making fun of them, it's really heavy-handed, and if you're validating them,
great, good job validating it.
Yeah, like, it's just, I don't know. And then his fucking tiger pajamas.
Well, and then at the end when he's like all of a sudden has a British accent, and he's like saying these like weird lines. I think he says like, I'm James Bond 007. It's like, what is this? Episode goes on 30 seconds too long.
Yeah, and it's a 28-minute episode.
Yeah, it goes on a 30 seconds too long, and like you said, 28-minute episode. But like, there's a weird thing at the end where he's like talking to himself. It's like, just cut the episode here.
It's
like,
so
we get it.
yeah.
It's sad. She's dead. But like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, now we're just going into this territory of like,
now
I'm just
you're
gonna start
sad,
making
crazy person.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start making these weird choices. So, yeah, this episode is really not great. So on Chronicles from the Crypt, we do either skip it or watch it. For myself, I fall into the skip it camp for this episode. I mean, like you said before, I honestly didn't even remember this episode. This is a forgettable episode entirely.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd say, you know, for a Tales from the Crypt episode, it's not anything really that a Tales from the Crypt episode really you would think it should be. There's no, you know, gratuitous violence. There's no really like, you know, gratuitous nudity or sex scenes or whatever. There's no ridiculous like tongue-in-cheek comedy. It's just weird and nothing happens, and it's like just all misplaced, and it's kind of boring. It's a lot boring. And so, yeah, I'm going to say skip it.
And, you know, it's pretty much just the plot of the film The Skeleton Key, and that movie is
terrible.
That movie's fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the second episode.
Speaking of atrocious.
Yeah, let's talk about the second episode, Fitting Punishment.
There you are, sports fiends. You know, dead people like me make excellent point guards. When we can't get off a shot, we simply pass. Away, that is. Speaking of which, allow me to be your fear leader for tonight's halftime show. It's a putrid playlet about my personal favorite sport, being a mortician. I fittingly call it Fitting Punishment.
Episode aired June 19th, 1990. Directed by Jack Shoulder, written by Don Mancini and Michael Allen Kahn. It stars Moses Gunn, John Clare, and Teddy Wilson. And it's, I don't even, like, the synopsis for this episode makes it sound as boring as it is, with Moses Gunn plays Ezra Thornberry, a funeral director who essentially inherits a nephew, and he just, like, abuses the shit out of him. That's the entire synopsis of the episode.
He's a horrible person. There's no redeeming qualities at all about him. He's a funeral, he owns a funeral home, and not only is he just abusive to his nephew who I guess his mom just died, and now he's like, hey, you're my only family member, I have to come live with you. Yeah, the kid's kind of like whiny and annoying, but you know, that's not an excuse to beat him with crowbars. But
he only beats him once with a crowbar, but he beats him once with a crowbar so badly
really good.
that he fucking cripples him.
Yeah, but and then he's not only abusive, he's also like a con man. Like he's conning his customer, you know, his clients who are bringing their loved ones in to have funerals, and he's like, you know, weighing them down with water. He's like putting like water and stuff in him so he can like save on embalming fluid or some shit like that. And he's like he's charging people for the, you know, fancy coffins, but he's giving them just like, you know, your standard fucking Wild West plywood
pine coffin from Taiwan.
Yeah, exactly.
And somehow importing a coffin from Taiwan is more expensive than buying an American-made one. I find that hilarious to think that importing Taiwanese coffins is cheaper than buying one that's made like probably in the same city or like nearby.
Exactly. It's just is, and as a, I'm sure you get like deals as funeral homes and shit, but yeah, so he's just a piece of shit. He's just an awful character with nothing. And then he's got a nephew who's like, he's super tall, and that actually matters. He's super tall, and then he's, whatever. Like he said, he hit him really good with a crowbar once. And that was it.
Yeah, he fractured his spine by hitting him once. The issue I have with this episode is quite possibly one of the most spiteful episodes of the show.
It is. It's one of the meaner ones.
It's so mean. And there was an episode earlier in this season, Three's a Crowd, that I think that's the one where the guy thinks that his wife is cheating on him with his best friend, and he like nails him to the wall with a crossbow and strangles his wife, and it turns out she's pregnant. So that episode is similar to this one in that it's like very, very, very spiteful and mean, and like almost beyond where it needs to go. And obviously the twist in that episode really, kind of sends it home with, and she was also pregnant and it was a surprise party. Yeah. But this episode, it's so mean and it's so spiteful. And you've got this whole idea that, like you said in the intro, that in this show, people are just willing to kill each other at a drop of a hat. He's like, I need to use this coffin and I have no one to use it on. Let me just murder my fucking nephew.
My annoying crippled nephew.
And cut his fucking feet off. And cut his feet off and force him into the coffin. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and like that's the whole thing. And with calling this a story is extremely generous because, it's not a story. It's not. It is two characters. Actually, it's like a character and a half because really the nephew, he is the one that is the victim, and he's the one you should feel sorry for, and you do. But he's really not a character. He really does nothing the whole time, aside from kind of like observe and his uncle doing bad things, and then is the moral voice of it. That's it. He does nothing other than that. And then they get into a fight. His uncle beats him, cripples him. Then all of a sudden, now he's a medical burden. So I guess I'll just kill him. And that's it. That's not a story. Like there's nobody develops anything anywhere. It goes nowhere aside from your standard revenge plot, which was a Tales from the Crypt staple. But
and the revenge plot again, it's one of those things where what the character of Ezra, played by Moses Gunn, does in the episode is so despicable that you would hope the comeuppance he gets at the end of the episode would be commiserate with the amount of pain that he caused the character who's getting comeuppance on him.
Right.
And it's not. It's just not. He should be like every bone in his body broken or something where it's like you really need to understand
like buried alive or some shit. Like buried alive for all eternity or some shit like that. Yeah. Like
it's not equal to the amount of pain he caused the other characters. And I always have a problem with that in a story like this because if you're gonna ratchet it up so far in one direction, you gotta have the lid has to blow off in spectacular. Out. Yeah, it just goes nowhere.
Like what, he falls down the stairs, he gets crippled like his nephew, and then he gets like, oh no, that was the other the last despicable thing he does that really sends it over the edge is that he cuts off his nephew's feet because his nephew's very tall and doesn't fit in the cheap Pinewood box. So earlier in the show, he says he sold his like Air Jordans to make some money, which is hilarious and dates the show immediately. But so we basically get these two disembodied feet jumping down the stairs towards this old man, and I kind of love them. They're my favorite part. Actually, they're my second favorite part, but it's ridiculous. This man just kind of gets scared just to death by feet.
Yeah, so the thing with the feet is really goofy.
Yeah.
It's like really dorky. It's not scary.
No, not at all. It's
like laughable.
Ridiculous.
It's laughable.
You know what else is laughable?
Everything about this episode.
Well, yes, but in particular, that scene where he's climbed up these stairs for what seems like an eternity, and how Ezra kills him. Is by throwing a basketball at his face and knocking him down the stairs that he just spent 5 minutes trudging up. And I rewound it twice because it was hilarious.
I mean, my wife commented that that's not how people die.
That's not how people are crippled either, but
yeah, people aren't crippled by being smashed over the back with a crowbar, because I don't think he could hit him
by
hard
an old
enough.
man.
Yeah, and also you don't die by falling down the stairs and your neck just magically breaks. I mean, I'm sure you could, but
yeah, you can take a hard fall, but the way he fell was not that way.
Yeah,
like he fell backwards, he would have just slid down whatever. But no, he walks out and says like that weird. He says hello, Bobby, in that weird fucking voice, and then just beams him in the face with that ball, and I lost my shit. It was great.
Yeah, it's this again, and so I kind of feel bad in a way, because you're on this episode of Chronicles, and these are two of the most forgettable episodes this season.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Fitting Punishment. I don't know why it sticks out in my mind.
That's the one I remembered too. I don't know why it did either, but that is the one that I actually remember. And this, I did not remember anything about the Carol Kane one, but visually I remembered a lot of Fitting Punishment.
Is it maybe because this episode is so mean?
I think it is, yeah. I think that it's so, if where Judy, You're Not Yourself Today fails mostly, other than like its ridiculous writing, because that can kind of be forgiven here and there for exaggerated characters, but where it really fails is that it's boring. It's dull. Nothing really happens. None of the characters are that, nothing interesting happens. Fitting Punishment, nothing necessarily interesting happens, but it just does have that feel. Like it has just that kind of like, this is just mean and hateful. I don't know.
It's just over the top.
Yeah.
And again, there was one of the segments in the Tales from the Crypt film that we did the bonus episode on had Peter Cushing, and it's similar to this, where it's like, it's so mean and so over the top, and you're expecting the comeuppance at the end is really going to be something like completely over the top, as kind of in tune with everything else that happened, and it's not. And that's this episode really could have been something special if the ending had really gotten that character and done something like really bad to him. And instead it's just, I guess he gets beaten to death with a crowbar?
I guess that's kind of, I don't know, like they kind of like does a stupid, fade to black, like after, I guess that's what happens. I guess you see it swing down, right? I don't know, like it
he's pinned down by one of the disembodied feet, and then
that's right.
the ghost comes and swings the crowbar, and that's it. It's
right, because
like, okay.
He's floating down with his feet, but he still has the crutches.
So stupid.
Yeah.
Talk about sacrificing like a good ending for an interest. Like they sacrificed the end of the episode for the visual of those shoes walking down the stairs.
Oh yeah, that's all they did. That was the whole payoff. They were like, and it'll be so freaky when the feet just come walking down the stairs. I'm like, no, it's gonna look like the California raisins without the raisin.
It's gonna look like some stop motion trash, just like
right.
midnight.
Which I love, but fine.
yeah. But it's in a context of this episode where it's trying to be serious.
It's so mean and serious the whole time, and then you just get these shoes and the basketball suit. Like those are just I did enjoy those 2 moments of just hilarious, misplaced, like unintentional hilarity. But yeah, I these two are not, not the greatest episodes, but there are plenty of those. So the odds that I would get on an episode to have at least one bad episode were pretty good, I think.
Well, and that's the thing that I think a lot of fans of the show, myself included, tend to forget is because there are so many episodes, like any other show, the more episodes of a show you have, the higher percentage of those episodes are going to just be duds.
Right.
I mean, not every show can be... I don't know. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I know that everybody loves Breaking Bad.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? But
just think it's fine.
Yeah, right.
I'm so happy somebody else does. That's like my one thing that I'm like, it's just like, it's okay. Like, I understand why people like it, but it's just...
Vince Gilligan was a better writer on The X-Files.
Yeah.
But it's like that. It's like, you have a show that has 13 episodes a season, and those episodes are probably going to be pretty good. Or you have a show like Black Mirror on Netflix that has like 7 episodes, and they're all pretty good. But Tales from the Crypt had like 20 episodes a season past the first season. So,
on HBO.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
And like you're not going to have a fucking home run every episode. Like there are going to be some episodes that are just downright dreadful. And that not only sounds like an episode title, it's also just the fact that so many of these episodes episodes in the second season have been just complete and utter nothing. They've just been a non-episode. They're not like...
I think it's like around, I think the third season is one, if I remember correctly, the third season has a lot of like pretty good episodes. But I mean, like, you gotta think, looking back at the time, like when these seasons were coming out, so season 2 were in 1990, so it starts in 89. Like that, at that point, like look at TV's landscape of being just like sitcoms and whatever. So it's just, the television style is a bunch of episodes, and doing something like this where it's like having this anthology style where you're just kind of like, I would love to know what the process and like how the writers' rooms and stuff went for like Tales from the Crypt, like how they got like people on, what the process of writing scripts and stuff for that show was, because I imagine that like it was probably pretty, like it probably wasn't a very well-oiled machine, so there was going to be a lot of like filler, and that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of really forgettable Twilight Zone episodes, and I mean, Twilight Zone is the grandfather of anthology television, and the one that people hold to the highest regard generally.
So much so that it's coming back once again.
Exactly, and there's a lot of really boring and forgettable episodes. I mean, yeah, there's still Twilight Zone, but
yeah, like, and that's the thing, like with Tales from the Crypt, we've been talking about this a lot, Mike and I have, with the problem of the love triangle episodes. Mm-hmm. And thankfully we're past that, but it's kind of a problem that's right for this season.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's unfortunate that the show has episodes like these two, because some of them aren't even based off of Tales from the Crypt. They're based off of other EC comics. Mm-hmm. So not Tales, but the other comics that were being put out. And it's like, Judy, You're Not Yourself Today and Fitting Punishment aren't good.
No.
They're okay. And, Judy, You're Not Yourself Today is actually pretty, like, I would say it's a bad episode. It's just a storyline mess.
It's a mess. It is structurally a mess. It doesn't make sense. There's the reason that the way the characters act, it's just nothing about it makes any goddamn sense.
Yeah. And then Fitting Punishment is just so like other side of the spectrum, where it's just a mean episode that doesn't like it also similar to Judy, You're Not Yourself Today. It just spins its wheels for half the episode. It's just like, this guy is a mean guy who does mean things. Okay. Great.
Yeah, great, awesome.
Yeah, what an episode! What an episode!
Guy who does mean things and then dies.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So, and in my mind, Fitting Punishment kind of sits right there with Judy, You're Not Yourself Today. It's a skip as well. It's unfortunate. I don't like skipping both episodes on an episode of this podcast, but at the same time, like I can't imagine someone watching Fitting Punishment and be like, yeah, this is a good episode. No. I like this a lot.
No, that's just, there's nothing to like. Like, it's like hugging a cactus. It's just not going to be good.
Yeah. It's actively trying to get you to not like it.
Yeah. Like it's just nothing. No, wait, absolutely skip.
Yeah. So on the next episode of Chronicles, we're going to be talking about episode 13 and 14 of season 2. We are nearing the end of season 2. We're going to be talking about Corman's Calamity, which features Harry Dean Anderson. I know that Father Malone, my normal co-host, is not a fan of that episode. We're also going to be talking about Lower Birth, the episode that is the conception, or that features the conception of the Crypt Keeper, and I don't remember that one very much.
I don't think I remember that one either.
Yeah, all I know is it has a baby Crypt Keeper puppet at the end.
That's pretty great.
So when you're not guesting on podcasts that I happen to be the host of, Jess, where can people find you?
Right now, I occasionally do some writing here and there for Nightmarish Conjurings. I just recently, my most recent piece for that was a review for an anthology, actually, called The Eye Slicer Halloween Special, which was absolutely fantastic. If anybody ever gets a chance to see that outside of a festival, it's amazing. But other than that, you can find me on Twitter at writer Jess Byard. You can find me on Instagram at the same thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Chronicles FTC. If you want to check out the website, we're over at chroniclesftc.com. Also chroniclesfromthecrypt.com, where you can find more information about this episode, every other episode of the show. Big thanks to you, Jess, for sitting down and filling in for Father Malone, and also, talking about these two really lackluster episodes.
No, absolutely. Even if it's two shitty episodes of Tales from the Crypt, I'm totally down for talking about it. Anytime I get to talk about Tales from the Crypt or horror or whatever, I'm totally open to it. So, yeah, thanks for having me on this other show as well.
And big thanks as always to John Kassir for the intro, and we'll catch you on the next episode.